Champs-Élysées. That's the main principal avenue that runs through Paris. And in that shooting, it seems, and these are confused reports, that a policeman has been shot. Now, either shot and may have died from his injuries, or is gravely shot. We're not sure at the moment. It also seems another police officer may also have been hit. There are also reports that the person who fired those shots has been shot dead. But as I said, at the moment, just unconfirmed reports. We're very close to the Champs-Élysées now in central Paris. It is, of course, at one end you have the Arc de Triomphe, at the other end the world-famous Louvre Museum. So this is one of the most famous avenues in the world, packed every evening with tourists walking up and down, people going for an evening stroll and visiting many restaurants and cinemas. So this, if it seems that it's the case that somebody has come out with a gun, or it seems that it is, it would be incredibly worrying indeed. You can only imagine the panic that must have ensued when this happened. As I said, we're nearing the Champs-Élysées now. We're seeing lots of police cars with their sirens approaching. We know that there's a big police operation underway, and the people have been told to try and keep away from the area.
I guess, Natasha, of course, this comes, whatever it turns out to be, on the back of a couple of arrests, and of course we've got the election on Sunday.
Well, we are just a few days from the first round of the presidential election. Voters will be going to the polling stations on Sunday. So anything like this is bound to have an impact on the election. We had a couple of days ago, in fact, in Marseille, the southern city in France, two men were arrested. French officials at the time said that those two men were suspected of plotting an imminent attack. And after that, we saw the far-right candidate, Marine Le Pen, come out very fast, using that to talk about security and how she said that security has been so lax in the country over the past few years and that more needed to be done, borders needed to be closed, immigration stopped. So you can imagine that if this incident this evening proves to be something equally worrying, we don't know again what is behind it, what the motivations were of this person who went out with a gun tonight on the Champs-Élysées. But either way, it will again just remind people that security is such an issue in France, a country which has seen a series of attacks over the past few years, and hundreds of people have died. Security an issue also just, of course, outside of that in everyday life, an ongoing concern, one of the top major concerns, along with jobs in this election.
Natasha Buckner there, coming live from Paris on the back of these reports of an ongoing police operation in the centre of Paris. These are pictures, as you can see right now. It looks as if the Champs-Élysées, they're certainly attempting to evacuate it on the back of reports that at least two policemen have been wounded, possibly one of them dead, and possibly the perpetrator of that attack also dead. And let's talk to David Chaser, who's also in Paris and joins us now. Hi there, David. I know that the details are sketchy right now, but what do you know?
Well, I was actually conducting an interview about security as an issue in the Place des Invalides, and we saw a search helicopter going overhead with cameras, so we knew something had happened. And according to the Reuters reports, one policeman has been killed and the gunman has been killed. And as we do know, there are also a police injury, perhaps. So limited details at the moment. The police are closing in. Did the gunman have an accomplice? What else are the dangers surrounding it? We still don't know the details of that, but a clear and heavy police presence closing in on the scene of the incident, and it was one thing that everybody was fearing, that there would be a gun attack or some attempt to disrupt the electoral process. So this was expected, and the police are on full alert, and at the moment they're trying to clear the area, make sure there's no other danger. But as I say, the Reuters reports say one policeman has been killed, a gunman has also been shot dead, and has other police injuries. So a very serious incident occurring just before the last day of campaigning, and which security has been the overwhelming issue.
David, just to let you know, we're hearing on wires now that according to French police, they're saying now the shooting was very probably a terrorist act. I'm just thinking about the location of the operation that's presumably ongoing right now. The Champs-Élysées, very popular with tourists. Do we know what's going on there at the moment?
The police are essentially trying to close it down, trying to make sure that everybody is safe, trying to get people out of the way. The Champs-Élysées, as you say, is one of the iconic centres of the capital of Paris, and so it would be a place where anybody who was planning an attack would have the greatest impact. They really have chosen the timing so well as far as they're concerned. Security is now the very top of this political campaign for the presidency, and in the heart of Paris, in one of the most famous streets for tourists, where everybody's going out for dinner, going out to clubs. This is where they've launched the attack, and so this was a deliberate attempt to disrupt the whole electoral process, try and close down one of the most famous streets in Paris.
David Shater there live from Paris. David, thank you. Let's talk to our correspondent Natasha Butler. She's also in Paris following this ongoing police operation at present. Natasha, we're hearing here that it's probable there were 2 attackers involved and one of them likely to have been killed. What else do you know?
She know nothing.
Natasha, I can hear the police sirens in the background there, so I'm going to assume that you are pretty close to this ongoing police operation. If you can hear me, what are you hearing?
Well, what we're hearing are that perhaps 2 attackers were involved in the shooting on the Champs-Élysées. We understand that there were 2 police officers involved. We don't exactly know whether or not those police officers were fatally wounded or not. We gather that at least both of them were hit. But again, these are all unconfirmed reports. Police sources are also saying that they say this may be what they call a terrorist act. But again, we're waiting for further confirmation. Usually that comes from the Interior Ministry in France rather rapidly, or of course the police services. Now I'm standing just at the corner of a road that meets the Champs-Élysées. There's a heavy police presence. You might be able to hear sirens behind me. Police officers are keeping people well back from the area. They have asked everybody to stay well away from this area, but it's a very difficult area indeed to clear because we are in central Paris. It's one of the world's most visited cities, and as we go into the warmer months, there are many tourists. In fact, we were just on the Champs-Élysées a few hours ago doing some filming, and the streets are absolutely packed. And in the evening, of course, people visiting cinemas, cafes, shops and restaurants. So this really is the heart of the French capital that this has happened. And of course, the people in Paris, and a reminder of the past few years when so many incidents have happened on the streets, the public involved. We've had a series of attacks. We've had hundreds of people killed. Now, we're not saying that this might enter into the same mold or pattern as these previous incidents, but of course, for the people here, it can only make you feel and sense that once again, Paris in some way is feeling rather jittery this evening.
And of course, the timing, Natasha, just days ahead of that first round vote for the presidential election.
Yes, we are just days away from that first round of the presidential election. Security is, of course, a top concern for many voters. But up until now, to be honest, it really has come behind jobs, employment. That's really the number one issue here. You have 10% of the working population who's unemployed. But it only needed something to happen for the spotlight to be cast back to be thrown back onto security. And in fact, just a couple of days ago, 2 men were arrested in the southern port of Marseille. Police said that they were plotting an imminent attack. And in the next 24 hours, all the main presidential candidates came out very rapidly indeed to talk about security, to talk about what they would do to protect the country. And it certainly fueled the narrative of the far-right leader, Marine Le Pen, because she says that the government has been very lax over the past few years. And she even went as far as to say that had she been in power over the past few years, that none of the attacks in France would have happened on her watch.
Natasha, just looking at the pictures we're seeing now, we can see all the blue lights lined up in front of the Arc de Triomphe. Do you get any sense of what might be happening inside that police operation?
Not at all, not at all. I mean, we are very close to where possibly location of those pictures, and we don't. It's very hard for us to tell what's happening. There's no doubt the police have been clearing the area, telling cars not to go any further. There's a helicopter buzzing overhead at the moment, and a lot of people walking around looking quite confused. There's certainly a sense that something is up, but of course you can tell that many people have absolutely no idea at all as to what's happening. In fact, we're just being moved aside as I speak by some riot police officers who blocked up off a certain patch, cordoned off an area we're being told to move right now. There's a lot of confusion here, a lot of people who seem to be running, trying to keep out of the area, looking quite nervous. A mother with a young child there has just run past me.
Natasha Butler there live from central Paris. Natasha, for the moment, thank you. Let's talk now to our correspondent David Chater. He's live for us in Paris and he joins us